Christopher H. Kit Carson was not your typical mountain man in stature or appearance. Prior to meeting Carson for the purpose of interviewing him for an article he was to write for Harper's Magazine, George Brewerton admitted that he had preconceived notions about the appearance of the man he was about to encounter. He fully expected him to be more than 6 feet tall and be, quote, a sort of modern Hercules in his build, with an enormous beard and a voice like a roused lion, unquote. Instead, he met an unassuming man only 5 feet 4 inches tall and weighing perhaps 125 pounds. Brewerton would write about Carson as follows, quote, the real Kit Carson I found to be a plain, simple, and unostentatious man, rather below the medium height, with brown curly hair, little or no beard, and a voice soft and gentle as a woman's, unquote. Kit Carson was born on a farm in Virginia on December 24th, 1809. While he was still a toddler, his father moved the family to Howard County, Missouri. His father died, his mother remarried, and his stepfather, thinking his stepson needed to learn a trade, apprenticed him to a saddle maker in the area. He never took well to saddle making, and a couple of years into his apprenticeship, he slipped away and joined a party headed to New Mexico. The young traveler made his way to Taos, New Mexico, which was the center of the southwestern fur industry. There he met celebrated mountain man Ewing Young, who was originally from Tennessee. He traveled with Young through what is now Arizona and Southern California. Young was an excellent leader and businessman who believed in rough treatment for Indians. In fact, he was quick to resort to lethal force, and he was accused of killing first and asking questions later. Having learned from Young, Kit showed some similar tendencies. However, he was never accused of doing anything that could be considered unsavory. After his stint with mountain man Ewing Young, he joined a different party of trappers and headed off to trap in the northern Rockies. He was well traveled during his trapping adventures from 1829 to 1841 and was masterful at learning and memorizing all the trails and routes he traveled during those years. That skill would serve him well during many of his future endeavors. When Kit Carson's life as a trapper and mountain man ended, he embarked on a future that would catapult him into fame and admiration from America's citizenry. In 1842, during a trip back to Missouri, a life-changing event occurred. While on a steamboat on the Missouri River, he met John C. Fremont, a U.S. Army officer with the Army's Corps of Topographical Engineers. Fremont was planning an excursion into the western U.S. for the purpose of mapping and documenting areas that were still unknown to all but a few early travelers, to include mountain men and adventurers. Upon learning of Carson's knowledge of the area, Fremont hired him for a salary of $100 a month, the most Kit had ever earned. The first expedition took place in 1842 and was for the purpose of exploring the Oregon Trail as far west as the South Pass in Wyoming. As a result of the expedition, guidebooks and maps were produced to aid western-bound migrants and settlers. Fremont wrote about Carson in his reports, which further enhanced the former mountain man in both reputation and notoriety. The second Fremont expedition occurred in 1843. Its purpose was to map the Oregon Trail from the South Pass in Wyoming to the Columbia River. That trip suffered from bad weather in the Sierra Nevada mountains. Carson's skill as a guide is credited with saving the expedition. They proceeded to venture into California, which was illegal because California belonged to Mexico. While in the Mojave Desert of California, Fremont's party ran into a Mexican man and boy who related a story of their traveling party being attacked by Indians. The attackers killed the entire party except the man and boy who escaped. They told of the Indians raping and mutilating the women and stealing 30 horses. Carson and a fellow mountain man named Alex Goday tracked the Indians for 2 days, recovered the stolen horses, and returned them to the Mexican man and boy. This brought even more fame to Kit Carson and further confirmed his status as an American hero. Carson participated in the Third Fremont Expedition. That expedition appeared to be more of a political excursion. President James K. Polk wanted California for the United States, and it was speculated that Fremont was secretly working for the president to incite settlers to revolt against Mexico. During the third expedition, there was an attack on the party by Klamath Indians, killing 2 or 3 members of the party. In revenge, the Fremont party attacked a village of Klamath people, killing at least 14 inhabitants. There was no evidence that the village was responsible for the previous attack. From 1846 to 1848, Carson was dispatched to journey to Washington, D.C. 3 times, carrying documents for the government. He was called back to California before completing one of the trips, but he did complete the other 2. Writings about the long and arduous trips continued to earn him more and more fame. He participated in the Mexican-American War from 1846 to 1848 as a guide for General Kearny. He settled in New Mexico with his wife Josepha and family in 1848 and lived there as a rancher until 1853. During that time, he led a drive of 7,000 sheep to California to be delivered to settlers in Northern California and Southern Oregon. Upon arriving in California, he was surprised to learn that he was considered a hero in the independence of California from Mexico. Although he was not seeking recognition for any of his previous exploits, his fame continued to expand through government reports, dime novels, newspapers, and word of mouth. A great deal of what was written about Carson during those times was greatly exaggerated, but it made for good copy and sold a lot of books. He served in the military from 1861 to 1868, participating honorably in a Civil War battle in New Mexico called the Battle of Val Verde, and numerous conflicts against the Apaches, Navajo, Comanche, and Kiowa tribes. Kit Carson died in Bent County in southeastern Colorado only 1 month after the death of his wife Josepha, who died during childbirth of their 8th child. His last words were, "Goodbye, friends, adios, compadres," and his final resting place is in Taos, New Mexico. If there ever was a larger-than-life figure in U.S. history, it is Kit Carson. Even though much of his fame was fabricated by overzealous writers, his many exploits during his life rightly elevated his memory to tremendous heights. If you enjoyed this video, give a thumbs up, make a comment, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel. As always, thanks for watching.